You're getting paid by the head.
Let's say bravo to Brian Birch. I have to introduce him. He has been one of the star members of the Super Listening Club with the Boulder Philharmonic for the last few years, and it is an honor to have you here and to bring living music to this experience, because if it's not living, it's boxed. I may ask you to play just a little bit more for us in a few minutes, but Brian, thank you. You've added life to everything, and where there is music, there's nothing else to talk about. I have decided that if there's a next life, there will not be a tree within 4,000 miles of me, because there have been so many books. But that should not take away things. Once they move, it takes me about 5 years to put out a new book. Literally, it's an amazing time, because since Mozart Effect, And this is my 23rd book. And I think the biggest commitment I have is not to repeat the same thing over and over and over and over. And try to write in different ways that invite not only those of you who I have known for generations, but those who are interested in this work as a new field. How do we connect the dots of what is powerful, what is relevant, and what is immensely real? It's very easy to fall into, music does miracles. But to know why those miracles begin to take place neurologically, physically, and why sound, in its greatest sense, is very much like nutrition. Just because it's good for us, or just because it tastes good, doesn't mean we should be in the midst of sound every single minute of our lives. Sound is so powerful. And I brought something that if any of you are truly interested, you cannot have this. But all you have to do is go on the internet, it's not in our book, and Google World Health Organization noise. This may be the most important document I have ever seen. And the whole document, if you print it out, it's 125 pages of research, merely says the second greatest pollutant in the world is sound. Pollutant. All of the research was done in Europe. And what's fascinating is that it goes through point after point, that this is evidence-based, gold standard, large-scale research on how noise affects cardiovascular diseases, exposure, response, relationships, communication, cognitive impairment in children, hypothetical exposure to relationships. Now, I know that hasn't happened to you. Sleep disturbance, and the list goes on and on. Healing at the speed of sound happened because there was so much dialogue after the Mozart effect. The Mozart effect I wrote in 1995. That is so last century. So yesterday. It's not out of date in its intention, its clarity, and its vast scope. There is nothing like that. So why write another book? Why is healing at the speed of sound relevant to today? It is because in the last 15 years, everything has been immensely challenged, tested, and redesigned from analog to digital, and everybody has access to what everybody ever thought. If you write it down, you live with it. And it's just as if you have any kind of stimulation all the time, you're in trouble. We have moved out of the natural habitat, even when you live in mountains, because of everything that happens within us. This is a wonderful room. All I hear is that little and when a phone goes off like that, you get to stand up and sing your favorite song. And that heals cell phone exposure. There's another seat down here. One here, a couple over here, so there's no reason to stand. The ability to begin to discriminate your own sound diet. A few years ago, I was at an international conference on listening and auditory design. And I was very impressed. And at one of those gatherings after a full day, I approached someone I respect very much in the field and said, we need to write the book of the next century. And so, without my knowing today, sitting over there who just walked in, would you stand? Come up here for a moment. This is Alex Doman, who just surprised me.
Good evening, everyone. It's really a pleasure to be here. I couldn't be here for the big launch of the book. Could not be here for the big launch of the book, I should say, living just in Ogden, Utah, on the other side of the Rockies. So had to take the quick flight and join my dear friend Don.
He left a message a couple of hours ago. Good luck. I hope it goes well. And I knew you were coming.
I could not be here. And it was a very magical evening in Vienna. And Don and I met in 2006 at the Mozart Science Conference and gave me this wonderful invitation. A man that's become a dear friend and an incredible mentor and teacher. It's been just such an honor and a privilege to learn from and be able to write with Don. So, thank you.
I'll be calling on you.
Okay.
Thank you. Without Alex, this wouldn't have happened. I didn't have the courage to do all of this. He has allowed this book to move to this incredible modality. I had a dream about books now. And that about books now was 5, 6 years ago, even 10 years ago. I talked to my agent in New York who said, you can't do that. I have a new agent. Thank you, Sasha. Literally. I said, we can do a book that you can hear, you can see, and you can research, and it's done it all for you. You go online, and every chapter, you'll be looking along in the book, and I hope all of you just glance through it a little bit, but there's hardly a page without a link. And these links, you see that little eyeball? That means you want to watch me demonstrate it, or you want to see the master, you want to see someone in the bed, in hospice, who is paralyzed, only can move their hands, and what music does in the last month of life. Do you want to see what happens to children in an amazing educational environment? Great educators here. There's Arnie, the head of the incredible Harmony School project here in Denver. Welcome to that.
Thank you, Don.
Everybody should know about what he's doing locally. Oh, there comes some Mozart effect. Do you keep them under in the safe? Okay. Literally, how can you utilize everything that is so noisy, that is so big, that is so overwhelming in this day and age? How can you integrate it? How can you talk about it? There is so much information. I spent over 3 years, through my assistant, right hand, Helena Wald. Where's my research assistant, Carrie? You're in the back, from the University of Colorado, and a nest of other people. Ariel, come up here and take their picture. It's not me. Come on up. Great photographer. The ability to realize that when the very first research I did, it took me 3.5 months, and we came up with 11,000 entries in the bibliography. This is not Googling it or Google Scholar. This is PubMed. This is the most sophisticated of Sage and doing searches of a variety of different things. And literally, out of those, I chose 3,000. We printed out thousands, sorted by topic. I should also introduce another great research assistant, somebody, one of the most popular people in Denver, the great writer from the Rocky Mountain News, Mark Shugold in the back.
Oh, sure.
Hi, Mark. He really helped me on this project. Amazing. Amazing. But this was manifest, and we took all of this to an agent and then to a dozen publishers. And Penguin, and I know Penguin did this because I had just gotten back from the Antarctic. And it's just remarkable how things fit together. They wanted it, and they said, this is just great. Now, can you rewrite it all and write the book so that chapter 1 is when you wake up in the morning, and chapter 2 is how you exercise and work with it, chapter 3 is what you need to know for your kids, and on, the chapter you need to know for your parents, the next thing about health, the next thing about geriatrics, how you release stress in your own life, and there we go. And what did we say, Alex? We. That's how the book was arranged. And I got a call from my editor in New York, and she said, Don, it's amazing. This happened. I organized, I wrote, Alex edited, Alex wrote, but Alex has made it manifest in the internet in an interesting way. I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I'm very proud of this. If you have an iBook, an iPad, an Amazon Fire, is that it? This is a Kindle, color Kindle, and I didn't attach the Wi-Fi, but you just touch it, and then you go to the footnote, it's instantly there. You go to the music, it's instantly there. You buy this book, and you get 7 free downloads. But that's not the main thing. I've always said, after you talk about music for about 20 minutes, you're not saying a thing. Listen. Seconds. What did she say to you? What did you feel? You took a deep breath. Call to attention. Whew. And that was the first public preview. This is not out, so we can't sell it. These are the unique albums, Healing at the Speed of Sound. And this one on calming and relaxing, gee, I listened to thousands of hours just to find something that says, do something with your breath. Imagine you're playing the flute with the air coming out. That's it, folks. The first was a Celtic version, and the second was Japanese. This works for smokers. Anything that takes 20 to 30 seconds to do what this has done, you must ask the question, should it be legalized? It's about listening. It's about congregating, that verb of being that modifies your world. Music is not an international, universal language. I don't believe that. Music is 10,000 different languages made up of the common sense of rhythm and rhyme and harmony with different flavors and spices, different kinds of nutrition. What an honor tonight. Cameron Powers, would you stand up? If you don't know this man, this is one big missionary. You can read all about him in the book. But, you know what he does? And how many years have you and your lovely wife have been doing this?
Together, 11. I've been doing it 35 years, studying Iraqi and Egyptian.
He goes to Iraq. He goes to Egypt. Goes throughout the East, and he opens music schools in their language and their musical language. Talk about courageous. You can't miss him online. But this is Cameron. Arnie, you're doing it here in Denver. He's doing it all over. Magical people like Christine Stevens, who takes the drumming all over the world. She went to, what was it, Iran? Kurdistan, Iraq. And she had the different people from different tribes and languages drumming together, and there it began to manifest. Music is not that universal sense, it's this. And it doesn't, you can listen to the St. Matthew Passion and feel that dance going on. You can take such a deep breath that the shakuhachi makes it go on. You can choose music you like. This is not a Mozart-free book. But it's like 2%. It's about your paying attention in the first chapter too. And this morning I did Clear Channel, and it's going to be all for the next 2 weeks. October 13th, Diane Rehm show on NPR for an hour. She lets me talk longer than Tattered Cover. Had to travel for it. The first chapter, it says, how do you take an assessment of your house? What does that sound like? What do these lights sound like? What do your computers sound like? What does your heart sound like? How do you begin to frame the context of what sound can do for you? It's not what I'm telling you to do. It's, and all of us hear it differently. Acoustically, you hear it differently in your emotional sense. Now, if you grew up in a Catholic church and had to sing Ave Maria 42 times, you may not have a healing experience. In the same way that someone else who didn't know the piece. It's been so much fun. How many of you have been to Listening Club once or twice? Oh, good. Welcome. Oh, great. Well, over the last 4 years with the Listening Club in Boulder, and the last one is January 11th, and it's free. So all of you can come. It's 2 hours, Saturday morning. But we analyzed 20 ways to listen to music. And that's in the last, not the epilogue, but in the last chapter of the book. My teacher, Nadia Boulanger, said something. And that was my first book, a biography of this famous musician in France. And she said, "The only thing boring in life is yourself." Even with bad music. How many concerts have we been to where we got bored? With the imagination, with your own ability to savor sound around you, you're going to begin to realize that there are ways by which you can modify your life by increasing sonic caffeine, taking a sonic sedative. And Alex, I brought this to you. This is the newest product in my line called Neurosonic Mouthwash. No, it's a drink. And it says drink smart. Now, somebody is paying attention. Now, I don't know how it changes my hearing, but I think that's pretty interesting. Let's try something that's very mellow, kind sir, and see how that changes the world around us. Pattern, pulse, pace, speaking inside of yourself. Not much of a melody, but a motif. Essence, space. A little different style. Feel free to river dance. Let's get in that. Now, I don't know if any of you saw this on Dr. Oz a few months ago, 6 or 8, maybe it was a year. But he talked to somebody, asked him, what about that incredible sonic experience? This lady asked him in his audience. They don't let men in the show, I don't think. But she says, what about this great sonic experience that I have every night known as my husband's snoring? Is there a way I can stop it without moving out? Is there a way to stop it? And you know where the research has been?